Welcome to Nerds Amalgamated, a podcast that covers the latest events in science, pop culture, and gaming.
I'm the professor, aspiring game developer, sci-fi aficionado, and completely and undeniably a geek trying to take over the world. I'll be breaking down the news from tech to gaming.
I am the DJ, a humble nerd, a big weeb,
and a watcher from the halls of the multiverse.
Just kidding. Anyways, I'll be breaking down all things comics to movies to anime.
Join us and stay hydrated as we quench you with witty banter, unintentionally hilarious hot takes, and trivia more fun than a night at the pub, courtesy of Nerds Amalgamated. Welcome back to Nerds Amalgamated. This week we've got an update on the games industry pricing, Nintendo saying emulation is actually legal, Trump's Project Stargate, and the use of AI at a Japanese anime company, and how sci-fi writers can help governments.
Ooh.
Bit windy in here, is it?
Yeah, oh, that too,
I think I can feel a draft.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a hot few days.
Yep, another heat wave. Another summer, another heat wave. That's just life in Brisbane these days.
Yeah. Yep.
So last week we spoke about why games cost so much to make. This week we have an update on how much games cost to buy. And according to an industry analyst, Matthew Ball, there is hope that GTA 6 will jump from the price of $70 to $100 or more.
Oh, no.
Which kind of makes sense because if you look at the price of games from, and these are USD prices to be clear, if you look at the price of games from the 90s and earlier, the cost of buying a game hasn't really gone up that much compared to inflation and compared to how much more it costs to make a game these days. It just sucks that if the price of games does go up even more, it'll price more people out of the hobby.
Oh, yeah. And what's
Especially in, if you want AAA gaming, in Australia, AAA games have been over $100 already a long time.
And what's going to be even worse is if I heard this from a live stream a few days ago, if GTA 6 becomes $100, every other games company, AAA mainly, will follow suit. It'll be like follow the leader, essentially.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a prisoner's dilemma there. The first people, you don't want to be the first one to put the price up because then you'll cop a lot of bad people. But everyone wants to put the price up because they want to make more.
But then, how would you market it then? If that's the dilemma, how would you word around it? If that's the way you say it, because it's going to be it's going to be very hard to word around that.
You mean justify it?
Yeah.
I've got to get you a dictionary.
Yeah. A thesaurus would be much better.
Well, I think the justification would be something like higher quality quadruple A games, like they tried to do with Skull and Bones.
Oh, that game! I remember that game.
Yeah, that one flopped so hard.
Oh yeah.
But they wanted to call it quadruple A because it was supposed to be so much bigger and better than triple A. I think that might be the justification you'll see some devs going.
Oh, and that will lead to that type of thinking. I will see a lot more flops coming if that's the case.
Well, I'm pretty sure GTA 6 won't.
Oh no, it won't flop.
I think GTA 6 is probably the one they're all watching at the moment because it's going to be the biggest, most expensive game ever. And if they can push it to $100, then everyone can.
But let's put it this way though: if, for example, GTA 6 goes to $100, and that's the first game to become $100, as I said, you're gonna get a lot of games following that path. Like, what's gonna be next? Call of Duty? Is that gonna be the next big game that will become $100?
Why wouldn't it?
Because as you said, like the high price jump will get a lot of gamers, well, get out of the hobby essentially.
Well, there's also, if you're selling a multiplayer experience like COD, you've also got to make sure you have a certain critical mass of people playing. So they might not put the price of multiplayer games up as much. Like, a lot of multiplayer games come out with a free version as well, because you need a certain critical mass of people to make sure you're getting matched up against people with similar skill levels to you. It's not just about filling lobbies. If you've got any sort of skill-based gameplay, must make sure that you're matching people with somebody of similar skill. Otherwise, they get stomped and they leave and don't play your game anymore.
Yeah.
And then you don't make any money.
And if you want, if you want to make the game $100, your content has to be top notch, like really good.
Yeah, it has to genuinely be quadruple A. If you want to say that your game is worth more than other AAA games, it genuinely has to be better than.
But with the price jump, how would you see the indies react to this though? Are we going to see more people going to the indie direction, or are we going
Yeah.
to see a lot more out of the indie direction, saying like this is too much, I can't do this,
Well, the advantage of the indie games is that there's a much lower barrier because indie games tend to be less graphically demanding and therefore require lower spec hardware. So you can build a PC that will play Minecraft or Terraria or some other indie game for a lot less than you would need to build a PC to run GTA 6 at max graphics. So I think you might see a lot of people turning towards indie, which I would love to see because indie games are where you get all the interesting stuff.
Oh yeah, the creativity in indie gaming it's insanely cool. But that said though, like that creativity always gets like bogged down when money gets involved in it.
That's true of everything. The
Hmm.
more money's involved, the more people you have to try to please, the more mainstream your thing has to be to have the widest appeal.
Yeah.
I feel like I've said that every episode for like 5 episodes now.
It's like that couch gag in The Simpsons at this point. The other question I have in terms of the price rising to $100, is this going to be a temporary temporary measure or a more permanent measure as well?
Permanent. Once the price of a thing goes up, it never comes back down. At least not without some really major societal changes happening.
Or if the company is going to get broke and they go, hey, because of bad press, we're going to give you guys this game for half the price.
Yeah, but usually if that's the case, the game's rubbish anyway.
And I might have asked this question earlier on, but do you reckon this will kill talent within the AAA industry, or with this price hike?
Only if the price hike is too high for gamers to accept, in which case there will be more layoffs because the company will not be making any money. If they jump too far and gamers boycott, which gamers are very bad at boycotting, clear. There's a famous picture from a decade ago, longer than that now, of a Steam group called Boycott Call of Duty, whatever version it was. And at least two-thirds of the people in the group were playing that version of Call of Duty.
Did it ever work in the end, or was it just
No, it didn't work.
And with this price hike as well, are we gonna see the death of existing games companies? Like we've seen the slow death of Ubisoft, for example. Like, do you reckon this will kill Rockstar Games if
No.
GTA 6? No.
Rockstar Games has GTA Online, which is a money printing machine. Ubisoft has other issues than the price of games. There's the boycott because they have such horrible workplace culture,
Oh yeah.
which, like I just said, boycotts aren't super effective,
Mm.
but it's a small fraction. There's mismanagement of projects like Skull and Bones. There's that they haven't really innovated a game in a decade.
Yeah, but this price hike would be the biggest nail in the would be like the final nail in the coffin if it happens, wouldn't it?
I think Ubisoft's already nailed its coffin closed. There are talks about other companies buying them going on.
Yeah, and I also think I also think $100 game would also reduce the quality of the AAA game as well.
Why would you think that?
I don't know. Like the other day I was thinking about Concord and how much would the game cost, and that was a pretty expensive game if I recall, right?
No, I don't think so.
It was a $400 million game to make, but I'm not sure the copy. The title debuted at like $40, but on online stores like eBay, it already became offered as much as $180. Oh, that's the other thing I should say. Piracy will be an interesting case with the price hike.
Are you trying to do my segue for?
Kind of, yes.
Don't.
All right.
I will end you.
Yes.
Yes, our next segment was about Nintendo's stance on emulation, which we've noticed in the last year they've spent a huge amount of time going after Switch emulators.
Oh, it's not just
And
Switch. It's not just Switch emulators. It's just any emulation with Nintendo on it.
it's mostly the Switch emulators, it's the other emulators. Like, they haven't been going after SNES emulators. It's just that the other emulators have gone dark for a bit because they're scared of getting Nintendo's.
So what was
Anyway,
it? Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they've shut down emulation tools, and this week they made a statement that a lot of people have been misinterpreting that emulation is legal and Nintendo's fine with it. No, Nintendo is not fine with it.
Yeah,
This
having
is
a
the
oh,
sorry.
sorry, I was gonna say, yeah, having a bunch of lawyers uh, coming up to you is not fine, fool.
Yeah, and they're not apologizing. They're not taking back what they did to Yuzu or any of the other emulators. Here's the statement from Koji Nishira, the
Nishihira,
general
yeah.
manager of Nintendo's IP department. Whilst emulation software alone is not inherently illegal, an emulation could become illegal depending on how it is used.
Huh? That sounds really confusing.
Well, not really. Like, a knife isn't illegal, but stabbing someone with the knife is.
But there's so many nuances to it though. Like, what if you're defending yourself, or what if you're
I think the analogy breaks down there. In this case, the big issue is that Nintendo has encryption and technical protection measures on their games. And the Unfair Copyright Prevention Act in Japan, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, basically any anti piracy law has a segment about circumventing anti piracy measures. So that is why Nintendo is still coming after emulators. Because to emulate a Switch game, you have to circumvent the measures that would prevent you from playing the game on non official Switch hardware.
But that's the point of that's the point, though, isn't it? Like to circumvent the protection measures.
Yeah, you can argue that the point of emulation is game preservation. And I don't know about Japan, but I know that in the US there's a technicality in the Digital Millennium Copyright Act that lets you circumvent the copyright protection for the purposes of preservation. But it has to be a very personal level. You can't then go and throw it up on a website and let people download a copy of the game without piracy protection.
It's almost like the Nintendo is saying, "But we want to protect you from all these things that will make you not enjoy the game."
No, that's not what they're saying at all.
Okay, I might have misread that.
What they're saying is that they want to stop people from committing crimes using tools that don't necessarily have to be illegal, but can be used to commit crime. And in this case, under the laws that Nintendo is using to shut down Yuzu, it is illegal because Yuzu and other Switch emulators have to circumvent the copyright protection just to work. Whereas for older consoles that don't have copyright protection or that don't have copyright protection that is protected under the law, like the SNES, is a much less illegal area. It's still a bit of a grey area, but it's much less illegal to emulate a SNES than it is to emulate a Switch because the SNES doesn't have the copyright protection features.
What I find interesting about this whole thing is the timing of this, given that Nintendo just announced a Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Switch 2 is actually capable because it is backwards compatible with almost all Switch games,
Yeah.
according to the advertisement so far. So theoretically, a Switch emulator could become a Switch 2 emulator very easily. And that is a rumor that's been going around that Nintendo has attacked theaters because they could emulate Switch 2 games. And if they emulate Switch 2 games from launch, who would buy a Switch 2? You'd just pirate the game. So they want to try to shut down game piracy before the Switch 2 comes out so that people have to buy the game. Because there's also the factor that things like the Nouveau DRM are often
Mm,
removed months after launch because the critical period for game sales is that first few weeks.
yeah,
After a couple of weeks, you're not seeing as many sales. And you're also not seeing as much loss to piracy because the people have already gone and bought the game. It's an interesting little arms race. They're trying to stop you from pirating, but only need to stop you for the first week because most people will go and buy the game in that first week anyway. Whereas if the game is available for piracy in that first week, then people will pirate it instead of buying it.
yeah. Has this ever happened before in any other of the Nintendo consoles?
Uh, like saying that emulation is illegal.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
around that time when
the classic consoles that they released a few years back, the little miniature versions that had a dozen games on them,
oh
those
yeah,
were
yeah.
emulated.
Okay.
And even funnier, they got the ROMs from a pirate site.
So they basically shot themselves on the foot. So
Yeah,
with
here we go. I
oh,
found a source for the virtual console suggesting that it links to a video, and no, it has details in the article
oh yep.
talking about the virtual console and pirated ROMs. So they used a hacked Wii to dump the ROMs from the virtual console software, and they don't seem to find a conclusive answer. But it's one of those cases where, it could go either way. And while it would probably be legal for Nintendo to pirate their own ROMs, then it does feel a bit hypocritical if they used pirated sources. And then there's also the question of the emulator itself.
Hmm.
They developed their own emulator from scratch, or did they use one of the open source ones?
Oh, that will be one hell of a rabbit hole.
Yeah, they're probably using an open source ROM
Hmm,
emulator because they can. That's the
hmm.
point of open source.
Yeah. How will the given this sort of revelation, are you gonna see the old emulators like Yuzu, for example, come back with a vengeance in a sense?
No, because they still require you to circumvent the copyright protection, operate Yuzu, which is still illegal.
Ah. So what happens now in terms in the future of Nintendo's old games? If now that we've got the full definition and of what the uh, the general manager of Nintendo's IP department said.
Nintendo will continue to sue emulators out of existence.
Ouch.
I can't see them stopping because to create a Switch or presumably a Switch 2 emulator, you're going to need to crack the encryption. They just might not come down as hard as they did on Yuzu, where it seems like they were transferring pirated copies of the game around between themselves, the developers, and also developing Yuzu against those pirated copies.
But but I reckon the court battles, if Nintendo starts suing them, would become longer given given what he just said.
If they even go to court, there are a
Mm,
few people who could afford to take Nintendo to court. Most people would just settle.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Once it hits to the courts, it becomes a war of attrition.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Just like the war on AI.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see it. I see it. So, uh, President Donald Trump has announced a project known as Project Stargate, which is
Terrible name.
yeah, I know.
What does it
However,
Stargate have to do with AI? It's a portal.
and this is not the only name that has the Stargate in it. There is also another star name with with Stargate in it called the Stargate Project, which was a secret US Army unit established in 1977 at Fort Meade, Maryland by the DIA, the Defense Industry Agency, and SRI International. to investigate the potential for psychic phenomena in military and domestic intelligence applications.
Yeah, that's the one where they ask the psychics to describe Mars.
Hmm?
Like the psychic project themselves to Mars.
Yeah, that was a primary. Yeah, that was a remote viewing, which was
Yeah.
oh, that was a whole lot of hogwash. Yeah, so Project Stargate. It's a 500 by Donald Trump, a $500 billion artificial intelligence initiative, and the key players have been revealed. These are the key project players: OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle, Microsoft, and Nvidia and ARM. So OpenAI side is led by CEO Sam Altman. It's responsible for operational aspects of the project. SoftBank's aspect is under the CEO Masayoshi Son, who will serve the chairman of Stargate. SoftBank is managing the financial aspects of the project. Oracle, which co-founder Larry Ellison's company, is providing essential infrastructure for the project's data centers. Microsoft, although not a primary equity partner, it's a crucial technology partner along with its Azure platform, serving as OpenAI's preferred cloud provider, and Nvidia and ARM are also providing the key initial technology partners. So this project
Yeah.
aims,
So it's a team effort.
yeah.
But speaking of terrible names, OpenAI. None of
Mm.
their software is open source.
Oh, oh,
Terrible.
damn.
It's all very closed AI, Sam.
Oh, damn. I could see you now just going, come at me, Sam, come at me.
Well, it's even funnier now because he now wants to take it from being a non-profit or whatever it is to
Mm.
being a closed company.
Oh, damn. So yeah, this project aims to construct up to 20 massive AI centers across the United States, with the first facility under construction in Abilene, Texas. The initiative has an initial commitment of 100 billion with plans to reach 500 billion over 4 years. However, the future funding structure has faced some skepticism, notably from Elon Musk, who questioned the availability of the claimed funds. Oh,
Of
damn.
course, Elon Musk would do that because he's got his own AI thing.
Now, the reason why I posted this thing up is because given how AI is becoming more and more prevalent, I wonder how many people in Hollywood are going to pay attention to that.
Well, this isn't the use of AI to create images like Hollywood would be interested. Project Stargate sounds a lot more like it's a project to do with using these LLMs for strategic purposes.
And interestingly, the with the Stargate project, they are incorporating several key technological innovations to advance the AI capabilities. And these include advanced AI systems, high performance computing, next generation semiconductors, cloud infrastructure, AI driven robotics.
Yeah, right. So, on the Samsung makes remote control guns that can theoretically fire themselves.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they use facial recognition or something. Well, with the way these LLMs hallucinate, can you imagine one of those guns being controlled by them?
Oh shit. Here we go. By the way, for those who are curious, what's that remote control, the autonomous sentry gun? It's the SRG/A1.
SGR.
Oh, sorry.
Dyslexia strikes again.
Yep. Yeah, but what's also going to be interesting, as I said, like how this will affect a lot of people, and I reckon a lot of people in the in Hollywood will be paying attention to this one in terms of. Yes, you're right. They're not involved in terms of making images and stuff, but this will help a lot of Hollywood in terms of other stuff like artworks, not artworks, writing, cre- uh, cre-
Murderbots.
yeah, murder bots, creative side,
I
more
just
in the
know Hollywood
creativity
wants
side.
murderbots to hunt down pirates.
In the creative side of things, it'll be like writing, storyboarding, directing, how to write scripts and whatnot. And it also could it could possibly revolutionize the industry, mind you.
Possibly, but will it?
Well, I mean, there are certain companies outside America that's been introduced that have been using AI, such as an anime company in Nagoya, Japan, for example. The company K&K Design has been using AI in its anime production pipeline. And this studio is using proprietary AI tools for anime production, which may avoid copyright issues plaguing many commercial Gen AI tools. And their AI-assisted process requires two key drawings, one at the beginning and one at the end of the movement. The AI then generates interstitial poses based on written instructions for character behavior and camera motion.
Yeah. So here I'm less concerned about the use of AI.
Hmm.
I mean, it's putting animators out of, but it's not completely replacing them. You still need artists to create it. It's basically just a tweening.
Yeah, yeah. What's interesting is this work that previously takes 7 to 10 days, done in 5 to 10 hours, or 4 to 5 hours. Sorry, 4 to 5 hours. And this studio also uses AI for motion capture as well, which makes them animate 3D manga style characters using smartphone captured movements.
Yeah, so they're doing mocap for anime.
Yeah. So, given all what they said about AI being used in that company, the company though has emphasized that human artists still play a crucial role in checking, adding, and retouching the AI generated work. And they view that this AI integration as a way to not control, to allow creators to focus more on creative aspects of production rather than time-consuming technical tasks.
Yeah, and eventually they're going to put people out of work.
I don't know. Given what I just said though, I don't know. I mean, I mean like okay, from a get like for yourself as a game developer, would you rather like look into put more time into the creative aspects of producing something rather than being consumed with time like doing the technical side?
I'd love to, but I don't think our society's set up to have everyone out of work
Hmm.
because an AI has taken their jobs. And I think it's going to take a long time and a lot of heartache before it. So, what I think is going to happen is it doesn't look great. I think we need to have a major societal shift. And tools like this are going to just put out a tiny fraction of the workforce. Not a huge amount, just enough to make you think to for you to not notice. But slowly the unemployment rate is going to rise. And those people aren't going to find new work because there won't be new jobs to do because it's all being done by the AI.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the economy collapses and we have wars. And then we come through the wars and we have Star Trek.
Love your segues.
Oh, I wasn't even trying for that one, but I'll take it.
I had more questions though, mind
No,
you.
you can go on with your questions. I wasn't even trying to segue.
Oh damn! Okay. Oh wow. All right. The question I have for it though, in terms of introducing AI in anime production, is the quality concerns when you're using AI in anime. Like, you're gonna face a lot of quality concerns, mind you.
I wonder if it's easier or harder for a generative AI to create an anime character or a real person.
Ooh, I think it's gonna be harder. I think I could be dead wrong on this one though, but yeah, although the other question you have to ask is how does the integration of AI will address the labor shortages in the anime industry? Because there'll be a lot of labor shortages.
Yeah, well, at the moment, the Japanese anime industry sounds like it's not a very good place to work.
Hmm.
From what I've read, there's a lot of people being at work, which is true of pretty much any industry in Japan.
Yeah, and also the reliance of AI, it could also affect the unique styles and cultural identity of anime. I mean,
Yeah, I reckon it would all sort of blend together.
yeah, and also the biggest question you will have to ask is what's the role AI will play in shaping the global competitiveness of Japanese animation as well? Because even though the anime industry is a terrible, terrible place to work in, it's heavily competitive, and having AI in it, like for good or for bad, it feels like yes, this is a game changer. This could change the industry in a sense. Like how, for example, with this could be a terrible analogy. Like with shooting games, for example. Like let's say, for example, Call of Duty. Oh yes, Call of Duty has this great new feature that Battlefield doesn't have, and it will revolutionize the gaming industry, the FPS industry.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think for the near future, we're going to see people wanting things with a human touch.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. Maybe nobody actually cares.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to see a collaboration of Stargate and the and this sort of anime production. That would be one hell of a work of sci-fi.
Bad segue.
All right, all right.
Anyway, yeah, especially compared to my accidental segue from earlier, that thing was smooth. Anyway, the Ministry of Defence in the UK has gotten sci-fi writers to help them come up with ideas for dystopian futures.
Hmm.
It's not like planning them out so that they have a guidebook to follow. It's coming up with wild ideas that are completely out there, but are important for important future threats. So
Yeah, but
things like the servers operating all of the electric cars going down and people being trapped inside them,
hmm.
which shouldn't be an issue. You should be able to get out of your car anytime. But I understand that some of the electric cars, especially Teslas, are not designed that well and are very difficult to escape from if you're trapped inside one.
Yeah, what's gonna be weird is though, it's like you gotta have like a bunch of sci-fi writers who've basically taken the black pill and just go, yeah, you guys are all fucked. I'm not gonna help the government.
Yeah, some of the riders did have reservations about working with the government.
And plus, most of the current dystopian stuff are already what we're seeing now. Like, what other disasters are we gonna see in the near future anyway?
Well, think about the setting for the current dystopian stuff was often created 20 or 30 years ago, or even a bit longer. So these sci-fi writers are looking another 20 or 30 years into the future,
Hmm.
trying to work out what's going on and what might happen if things keep going the way they are. But it's not all doom and gloom, because some of these sci-fi authors have probably written stuff about fixing the problems we face and have a more optimistic view. And part of that is making sure that things like getting locked in your Tesla while it sinks in a river don't happen. That's a real case. It's happened a few times actually, that a Tesla has gotten caught in a body of water and the doors have failed and the occupants can't figure out how to escape.
Oh damn! I mean, Tesla do have a submerged vehicle guidance manual.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It'll be in the show notes for those who are curious.
Okay, can I just point out that having a manual for when you're underwater, you don't have time to be reading a manual when you're underwater.
In case, like, it's like reading a manual in the middle. In case you're dying in the water, do
Flip to
not
section
panic.
27B.
Just like open the glove box, and just trying to find it, trying to find that section while you're drowning, and you reach the bottom. Oh, I found it. I'm at the handling at the submerged vehicle part. Number one, treat your vehicle as if it has been in an accident and contact your insurance company. Two, do not attempt to operate the vehicle until an authorized shop has inspected it. If you're a Tesla owner, you can schedule your inspection.
Fair enough.
And three, safe hold the vehicle at least 50 feet from structures or other combustible materials, such as other cars and personal property.
That's an important one, because when those lithium batteries catch fire, they are apparently quite difficult to put out.
Oh, yeah.
Not that they catch fire that often. Apparently, electric cars are less likely to catch fire than combustion engine cars. It's just that because they're new, it's all over the news when one does.
So, what's interesting about this initiative is like, what sort of emerging technologies are the writers exploring in their stories for the Ministry of Defense?
Yeah, it's given me a list of authors to check out.
I could totally see you now, Professor. You come back after reading them. You just like, I am the angel of death. Meet me in my doomsday bunker.
Well, one of these authors, Emma Newman, suggested that, what if in the future your life support machine relies on a subscription?
Oh no,
Think of the
no.
failure modes of that. You don't
Oh,
pay a subscription, there's a ransomware attack, the company that makes it goes out of business. This has actually happened. There's a company that made bionic eyes, went out of business, and now those eyes no longer work. So
you.
people were given the gift of sight and had it taken away.
This reminds me of two things. Well, first one, it reminds me of Marvel when they did Superior Iron Man, and how this was Superior Iron Man was basically evil Iron Man. He got his moral compass reversed, and he basically gave everyone a copy of the Extremis virus through an app. That this would give everyone like beautiful bodies. They can do whatever they want, do anything they wish, and it will come true. But it came at a trial period, and if they want to continue using the app, they'll have to pay a fee of $199. No joke. This was a thing.
Monthly? Like, I'm just trying
Daily,
to work out $200 to be
daily,
fit and sexy. Doesn't sound too bad.
on a daily. Can you imagine
Yeah,
how many people would do it though?
that does get a bit out of my budget.
Yep. No, actually, no, not 109. They'll have to pay $100 per day. Yeah, for the upgrades. So yeah, he released the Extremis Virus 3.0 to the public, disguised as an app, addicting people to substance and depriving them of further upgrades until they pay this fee of $100 a day. Yeah, the effect of it was so bad, it caused unrest and panic that
Okay.
that in effect created drug addicts and enslaved to Tony's will. That's how bad it was. And the second one, this storyline, it reminds me of. You remember? Have you seen the newer episodes of Red Dwarf?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. There's an episode in the newer in Red Dwarf, one of the recent ones, where Dave Lister gets the upgraded version of the Jupiter Mining Core because they got taken over by another company, and he has to pay all the money just to get all the upgrades, and it slowly consumed his life to the point where anyone who hasn't bought the upgrades were basically invisible.
That reminds me of the Black Mirror episode White Christmas,
Oh damn.
where at the end the criminal is blocked out so that no one can see him.
Oh
Anyway, we are running out of time to quote sci-fi.
yeah, yeah.
So let's move on to our shout-outs.
Hmm.
On the 23rd of January 1957, the inventor Walter Frederick Morrison sold the rights to his flying disc toy to the Whammo company, renamed it Frisbee.
Pick me up before you go.
Wrong Whammo.
Ah,
Frisbees were invented in the late 1930s when the inventor Walter and his wife Lucille were playing with a popcorn can lid after Thanksgiving dinner. They discovered the market when they were offered 25 cents, equivalent to $5 in 2020, for a cake pan that they were playing with on a beach in Los Angeles. So he was playing with rubbish, and people saw that and were like, let's buy your rubbish.
hey, you know that saying? One man's trash is another man's treasure.
They were once accused of using wires to make the frisbees hover, so they developed a sales pitch. The flying saucer is free, but the invisible wire costs $1.
Ah, damn. And that's how marketing was born.
Yep, and it also had some funny names like the flying saucer and the Pluto platter. On the same day in 1960, the Bathyscaphe USS Trieste broke the depth record by descending to 10,911 meters. The Trieste was a Swiss-designed, Italian-built, deep-diving bathyscaphe with a crew of two, which reached its record depth in the Challenger Deep, crewed by Jacques Picard.
It's Jacques.
Jacques,
Damn
yes,
it.
Jacques. I'm getting tired. I am tired. If you get that, you're way too old.
Yeah, Jacques, Picard, and Don Walsh, U.S. Navy lieutenant, for achieving the goal Project Necton.
Yes, it took them 4 hours and 47 minutes to reach the ocean floor. After passing 9,000 meters, one of the outer window panes cracked, shaking the entire vessel. And they kept going.
See, that's when you know you've got a good thing going. Unlike the
You'd
other
bloody hope
sub,
so.
unlike the other flippin' sub.
Initially, Picard and Walsh reported that there were flatfish at the Challenger Deep, but it's more likely that those were sea cucumbers. And they described the floor of the deep as diatomaceous ooze. Ooze.
Ooh.
I love the word ooze.
But that's really weird how it takes you 3 hours and 15 minutes just to get to the bottom of that.
No, that was on the way back up.
Oh, okay. Oh,
It took
right, yeah.
nearly 5 hours to get down, a bit over 3 hours to get back.
Isn't isn't the bends thing like if you're going up too quickly, you would suffer the bends?
Yeah, it depends on how pressurized the cabin was. Like, the bends mostly affects divers because divers don't have a pressurized cabin around them. So, DJ, what is our messed up moment this week?
So, like you followed up my idea for last week's messed up moment. I took up your idea for this week's messed up moment, and that was the Great Flood versus Noah's Ark. For those who are curious, Noah's Ark is a 1928 American part-talkie epic disaster film directed by Michael Curtis and starring Dolores Costello and George Bryan. Now, this movie is infamous for a specific flood scene where Michael Curtis had a huge tank constructed containing 1 million gallons of water with access spillways leading to the tops of the Babylonian temple set. While cinematographer Hal Moore questioned him about the lack of safeguards, Curtis reportedly replied, "They're just going to have to take their chances." Moore, a survivor of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake and fire, was so appalled that he walked off the set. Barry McGill took over as cinematographer, and the stunt proceeded as planned. The water was released from the tanks, and 15 cameramen and countless extras thrashed about in the water for hours. As a result, 3 people drowned, 1 had a leg amputated, and almost a dozen suffered broken limbs and other serious injuries. One of the extras who survived this flood scene was allegedly John Wayne. And due to the deaths and injuries suffered on this film, stunt safety regulations were written and implemented the next year. Dolores Costello, who was working on that film, got pneumonia, and in the later years she expressed the horrors of filming it as, quote, mud, blood, and flood, and said she came close to drowning in one sequence. 35 ambulances were called to treat the wounded in the aftermath of the flood scene. Damn, that's a lot of ambulances. Jesus. The aftermath was even worse. So in Pioneers 1980, Dolores Costello tears up when she talks about the human cost of the flood scenes. And also, I forgot to tell you, for those curious on how many gallons of all the how much was the amount of water, 600,000 gallons was roughly the amount of water for an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That's a lot of water.
Yeah, but also somehow less than I was expecting.
And here's the most messed up part about this. An axiom of the entertainment industry is that there is no such thing as bad publicity. The most messed up part about this was the news coverage of the tragic deaths on the set of this film was added to the box office take.
People love a bloodbath.
Can you imagine you do this on a movie now? That would turn off a lot of people.
You'd hope so. And I've actually seen the video of this.
No.
You can find it on YouTube.
No way. Uncensored? Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
They made it into the movie pretty much uncensored.
Oh my gosh.
And some of the scenes, like, considering how little water it takes to wash someone away, it's astounding that more people didn't get hurt.
Oh man. Makes you wonder though, like on the one hand, thank God for CGI, even though we hate it so much nowadays.
Yes, there's something to be said for practical effects, but it's not worth killing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on to our wacky movie. On the 22nd of January 1987, Aliens premiered in Greece. Aliens needs no introduction. Though the production company immediately wanted to make a sequel to Alien, Fox were convinced that it would be a disaster. They believed that the success of the first movie was a fluke.
Oh,
They were wrong.
uh-huh.
The title comes from a James Cameron writing Alien on a whiteboard during a pitch meeting and then adding a dollar sign at the end.
Boy, they were not subtle about how to make money.
Sigourney Weaver initially rejected offers to return and had to be convinced that it was not being made exclusively for financial reasons.
Oh, she would have changed her mind after seeing that alien dollar sign on it.
Well, she was paid the equivalent of $2.78 million.
Wow.
While filming the scene with Newton the Duck, Carrie Henn kept blowing her take so she could slide down the vent, which she called a slide 3 stories tall. James Cameron convinced her that if she did the take, she could play on it as much as she wanted.
Oh, that would have been so cool. Imagine being a kid in that movie.
Yeah, and Bill Paxton apologized to Carrie for swearing every time he had to swear in front of her.
Oh man.
Carrie said she didn't mind because she didn't know what the words meant.
Imagine being a kid and you hear the swear words and then you let it sit for a while, for years to come, and then you hear that word as an adult. You go, ah, now I know what that word means. Ah, now I get it.
And Sigourney Weaver was concerned about the amount of shooting because she's a advocate for gun control. James Cameron convinced her that that should be part of her character and took her to a range to fire a gun, which she had to admit was pretty cool.
Ah, damn. Yeah, this was the movie Sigourney Weaver's career really went high.
And in Hungarian, the title of Alien was The Eighth Passenger, Death, and Aliens was titled The Name of the Planet, Death.
Ah, damn.
So that's all we have for you tonight. Look after yourselves, stay hydrated, and we'll see you next week.
You can find us on all audio platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. So stay happy, stay nerdy. See you next time, guys.